I began covering war for National Geographic in 2006, and I never got to Kurdistan during that part of the war. And in fact, I really didn't have any idea who the Kurds were back then. And I happened to meet some wounded Kurdish soldiers in Baghdad, and I started to think, who are these guys? I've never even heard of them. Where do they live? And so going north to Kurdistan after covering the war in the south was like going to a different country. I think the story of the Kurds is one of the most important ones I've ever been involved with, because these are people who've been largely left alone to face the greatest terrorist threat in the world. And they have been an important American ally, but after the Iraq War sort of slowed down, the Americans left them to their own fate. And now they're standing strong against ISIS, and very few other groups can do that. I'd like people to learn from this show more about the Kurds, who they are, what they're facing, and why they're going to be an important ally for the West going forward. They are facing an enormous challenge right now in trying to keep their country stable while they fight off this enormous enemy. And even the United States hasn't really had to do something like that in its history. So it's a unique struggle, and I think Americans will sympathize greatly with the Kurds. The most lasting impact was made by a few of the people that I interviewed, including the female commander of the women's battalion. And she had recently lost a daughter while they were both together fighting ISIS. So mother and daughter were fighting on the same front line. Daughter was under the mother's command, and the daughter was killed by mortar fire. And that was an incredibly powerful story to hear, because it's not every day that you meet someone who has given so much to defend their homeland. When I hear ISIS, it makes me angry, actually. This struggle comes closest to good versus evil. It's almost silly to describe anything in such stark terms, but ISIS is not an enemy that you negotiate with. And it makes me angry to think what they have done, and especially after meeting people, friends now, who've lost family members to the fight against ISIS. It actually pushes you out of the journalistic objectivity thing a bit, and there are many times when I thought I would have gladly joined the Kurds to fight against ISIS myself.